Welcome back to the Fox Robbins Business Show. Come on in and stay a while. Relax. This won't hurt.
Hardly.
Should be helpful.
I would hope so.
This Fox Robbins Business Show is all about small business. Everything and anything you ever wanted to know related swimming in the environs of small business. And I'm the co-host, Bill Fox. The other co-host, though, this guy is amazing. They say he is cordless, but he is vibrating, always vibrating, and he is mellifluous.
Mellifluous, I like that.
And he's Coach Robbins.
Mr.
Coach.
Bill, how are you? I am cordless today. The mic is in my pocket.
Coach, we just did an episode on approaching venture capital
Yes.
people.
Yes.
This topic is allied to that, is close to that. This is talking about you are a business person, you're an entrepreneur, you're a spark plug, but you should know there are 9 things you should never do when you're pitching to investors.
Anybody that's going to invest, the VCs, like that show said, the big money, angel groups, smaller money, just an individual angel. A friend of yours, a relative, you're pitching your relative. Wants to put 100,000 in for 10% of the business. It's, you don't have a product, you don't have sales, whatever.
So don't make these mistakes.
These are mistakes. Don't do it. Right.
And so the author, the author is Ricky Pelletier.
Yep.
And the author says pitching investors, customers, vendors. That's when you have a going business, you're pitching bankers, investors, vendors, whatever.
Future employees
can be pretty scary. I mean, you could get nervous about it.
Well,
and maybe panic. Panic is the next step.
That's a mistake. But yeah, you should be a little bit on edge. It just makes you sharper. You should have some butterflies going because it's important to you and you realize it's important to you. And what I always say is to just get all those butterflies flying in formation, pushing you forward, and be confident that what you've got to offer here is worthwhile, and they should want to make a deal.
Well, this guy, Ricky Pelletier, says I've seen a lot of mistakes. I mean, he is someone who invests in companies.
That's right.
And he's had a lot of pitches thrown at him.
For 10 years, I watched pitches every month for the Bay Angels, and I saw a myriad of mistakes made. I was consulting for the Angels themselves, not for the people doing the pitching, but I would vet them and I'd invite them down to the country club in the boardroom, and 2, maybe 3 would make their pitch, and some of them were horrible. I mean, they really weren't ready, and some of them were pretty good.
So here are some no-nos to watch out for, to be prepared in advance, right?
Right.
And number 1 on this list of these are no-nos.
As it should be.
Committing without a plan.
Yep. Yep.
The author says, don't make projections without a real plan.
Don't make projections by pulling them out of the sky. Whatever you're going to project, you have to explain to the authors how you got that projection. And one of the biggest mistakes I saw, well, if we only get 5% of the market, that's a mistake. The author, the angel or the investor, period. Well, how did you get that number? Well, if we have 3 salespeople on the road and they make a sale every month, because they've been doing that, and we're able to do that, our sales will then be this. So you have to back up, whether it's a lender or an investor, you have to explain, where'd you get that projection? Where'd you get the number from for sales?
Well, the person, like the author, people who are listening to the pitch, they know that projections fail.
They're not. It's not that that's what's going to happen. It's what might happen. Never does, by the way. But it's possible that if we do this, we will get that. But it very rarely happens that way. It's what Eisenhower said about a year and a half of planning D-Day. The plan really is worthless once the battle starts.
Once the first bullet flies.
But the process of doing that planning was priceless, absolutely priceless, so that when you got into the battle, in this case, once you get the money and you get going, you're going to know what you need to do to make this thing work.
Okay.
And that comes from strategic planning.
But that's what you want to hear.
Absolutely.
Number two is another no-no is lying or exaggerating, is there a difference, about your financials.
Yeah, exaggerating is a more gentle term than lying, but you just...
Now the author says, who knows, maybe, the person starting a company really don't know financials. They don't know the difference between a booking and revenue, income, cash flow. They don't really know these things.
Well, they should.
But you better be prepared. If you're asking for money, you better be prepared for specific questions.
This is a money meeting. You better understand sales projections, cost of goods, cost of acquiring customers. These are things you have to know. And if you don't, you better have a chief financial officer there beside you who does know that, can make that part of the pitch. I'm not really big on two different people making the pitch. Yeah. But if you have to, this is about money. That's what you're there for. Right? Yeah. So you better really have your numbers down, pat. You better be able to rattle them off just like that.
Be straightforward, be clear, and what you just said, if necessary, bring a financial person with you.
Absolutely, bring your accountant.
That person may be in your team, maybe not. Maybe you have...
Might just be the CPA that help you put the numbers together, but in that case, you still have to, you're the CEO, you're the leader, you're the founder, you better know the numbers.
Right. Number three is Number three mistake, this is a no-no, forecasting amazing growth without backup.
Yeah, we're doing about $1 million now, and we're going to do 100 million next year. Yeah. Really? And if we do, boy, we're all going to be happy. And well, how do you project to go from $1 million to 100?
The author says red flag on that one.
Oh, yeah, and again, right, red flag. I mean,
wishful thinking.
Sure, it'd be wonderful. By the way, if you grew that fast, you'd probably go out of business anyway,
Or you can't support it.
You got to support it, They're going to dig. They're going to dig. You're telling me something. How do you see this happening? Give me the support. Yeah, I'm going to hire 20 more salespeople next month, stealing them from another company, and they're going to bring all those sales to us. Really? Okay. It's just, you can't be pie in the sky. You got to be realistic and reasonable, and you got to be able to explain. How do you develop those projections?
Now this one, I know, this is one of your favorites. This is another no-no. You say to the investor, the investment committee or the group or the person you're speaking to, you say, we don't have any competitors.
Oh.
Who's your competition? Well, you don't have any competitors.
Well, you don't have any competitors because you probably don't have any business either. Because there's a need, a want, a desire, there's a problem, something's out there, and they're solving it some other way than the way you're proposing. Now, I would assume that you've got a better proposal and a better feature and a better benefit to your potential customer than your competitor, but that doesn't mean, McDonald's is a competitor of not only Burger King, but they're a competitor of Pizza Hut and Domino's too, because it's food, They may not be direct competitors, but those people are out there solving their want, need, desire somehow. If you don't have any competitors that you can't do something better, you probably don't have a market.
An investor may be, the author says, the investor might be sitting there and wonder, are you arrogant?
Yeah.
Are you
blind?
Naive?
Yeah, naive, right.
Make sure you know, explain. But here's what I want to bring up to you, Coach, when we do this episode, is that, competition, competition may not be a specific, like a company. Like, I'm competing with this, the competition may be customer ignorance.
Yeah.
Not ignorant, not people.
Lack of knowledge, yeah.
People don't understand right away what you're selling or what your product or service is.
Right.
That's maybe you don't have a company that is offering the exact same product or service, but competition might be that the customers are happy already, and they don't see.
Well, that's what I said. They're getting their needs met someplace, or they don't have a need.
Yeah. Or competition might be you start off and what your product or service looks good, and then competitors jump in immediately.
Especially if it's a big competitor and you can't protect your market. That's something else that an investor wants to know. Because a lot of times somebody will say to me, well, I want to present to this angel group or this VC group, but I want them to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Oh, they won't do that. They expect that if they put their money into your company, that you've got some kind of protection for this idea, even if it's just a secret, to go forward. Otherwise, some big company come in and just squash you, and that happens all the time.
Look, a simple idea, I know it's one that I've heard you say many times. You say on Main Street, you notice that there's no Mexican restaurant, so you open one.
Right.
And you say, I don't have any competition.
Sure you do. The Italian restaurant across the street.
I want you to tell me that the guy, that if you have a hot idea and it's working well, you think no one else is going to open another Mexican restaurant on the other side of the street.
Right. Maybe, maybe not.
And if so, what are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do? Why is your food better? Why are they going to come to you? How do you protect your market?
Number 5, this is another no-no, Coach. You tell the investor, there are no gaps or blind spots on our team.
I got everything covered. I've got everybody on my team that I'm going to need, and I don't need advice from you. You might as well be saying that too. Yep. As a matter of fact, I know everything. I mean, the only time that could be true if you and I were the team, right? Wrong. Again, no. There's always blind spots, on every team, and what they want to know is, hey, you know what? I think we have a weakness here in sales management. Marketing guy's good, but I'd like to have some money to go out and hire a solid sales manager who can do this, and that's my plan to shore up that weakness.
So don't be ignorant of any weakness on the team. Where is it? How serious is it?
And what are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do to fix it?
And when are you going to do it? Right.
Number 6, Coach, is you're talking to an investor. You come across as a dreamer. You focus only on the positives, everything that's good.
Yeah.
It's a goody two shoes.
Yeah.
Maybe that venture capital person, the investor, will say, if everything is perfect, what do you need me for?
Right. Yeah. Why don't you just go borrow the money? The banks don't take chances if it's perfect.
If it's perfect, just go to the bank and take out a loan and go for it.
Bob Hope said it best, I think. He said, a bank is somewhere you go to borrow money if you, in fact, can prove you don't need it. That's Bob Hope, all right?
Yeah.
And yeah, to some degree, that's true.
Well, if you're talking to a venture group, why do you want them on your board of directors?
Because
why do you want the oversight? They're going to oversight, and they're going to take a chunk of your stock.
Right.
You don't want to release ownership or stock in your company, except at the point of a gun.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
I know.
But
how much of Amazon?
Why would you do that if you didn't need it?
How much of Amazon does Jeff Bezos own? He's worth what, $100 billion?
Yeah.
17%.
Is that right?
17% of Amazon is worth $100 billion. I would take 15% of Amazon right now gladly. Right? No, I don't need 51%. And I've actually had people who refuse to give up more than 51% of their company. And guess what? They're going to continue to bebop along.
So don't focus only on positives. There's going to be some holes, and you're going to talk about that. Be honest and forthcoming.
Yeah, be honest. I mean, you can accentuate the positive. That's certainly good sales and good marketing. Yeah. But hey, we do have potential problem in that we're trying to grow. We're maybe growing too fast. Yeah. We're going to slow it back down a little bit. But I need the money to do these things, and here's how I'm going to solve these problems we see that could pop up in the future. It's all about having that Class A team that can recognize these things and pivot. Make a change. They're smart enough to know this isn't going according to plan, so we've got to do this a little bit differently.
Number 7 is another no-no is dwelling. You're talking to the investor. You're dwelling too long on issues. In other words, the author says, "Hey, every business will have problems, guaranteed, but don't bog down and dwell on problems. Recognize problem issues, tell the VC how you plan to address it and get on with it. Don't get bogged down.
Very much, 6 and 7 are very closely aligned, and I agree. Look, I think we're going to have a problem with this in the future, and here's how I expect to address it. I'm going to take $500,000 and I'm going to buy this new machine, and that's going to do this, and that's going to get us over the hump of that potential problem.
Also, you want to, when you're addressing the investor, tell them what make a point, and realize, don't bog down, and don't dwell on an issue or issues. If the VC wants to know more, he or she will ask for it.
Absolutely. Just touch on it, move on.
Stop pounding it.
You've only got your 15 or 20 minutes with whatever they're allowing you, and just get it done.
Move on.
Move on.
And number 8, this is, if you're making a presentation, now this applies if you are not only speaking to an investor, but you also have a PowerPoint presentation.
Yep.
That's wise. But that's a supplement.
Yep.
It's not and so the author says here, are you turning your head and looking and reading the slides to the person you're talking to?
Just send me the email. I can read them myself.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's Guy Kawasaki, who did the other show on Guy's Thoughts. He's the 10, 20, 30 guy. He says 10 slides, 20 minutes, period, and 30-point font. Don't put .02 Beelzebub font with every potential number up there that is this big, and then turn your back to the audience. I mean, we see students do this in college, and it's a mistake.
They turn it back on the audience and read off the slide.
And there's 1,000 words on the slide this big that nobody even in the front row could read anyway. No, that's not the way to do it. You're not reading your slide. Babson, several years ago, had their students do PowerPoint presentations with no words, pictures that depict what you're going to talk about. Now, I'm not saying you go there with the VCs, but they were doing it for a purpose in an educational environment to get the student to know what they're talking about, and that picture was just a trigger for the student to face the audience and deliver their pitch.
Look, you're giving a PowerPoint presentation. It happens. It's automatic with people. You got to break that habit. You've got to realize that's a terrible way to make a presentation. Is turn your back on the audience and read off of that slide.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It turns everybody off. But it's a technique that you have to learn. Is the slide is only to supplement what you are saying.
It's just a trigger. I put my PowerPoint presentations up whenever I do a seminar. I have 2 or 3 words, and they're this big, so I don't have to wear these, right? No. And it's just a trigger for me to say, this is what I want to talk about, because I am well prepared, I hope. And I'm not going to put the entire sentence up there. I'm not going to put up, I could give them that in notes later on, but what's up there, I don't want the audience staring at the screen reading. I want them to glance, see a few words, and understand what I'm about to explain to them in the next minute or so.
There's also, by the way, this gives me a chance to talk to you about one of my most unfavorite things, is watching other speakers use a PowerPoint. Use the laser pointer.
Oh yeah.
And the person speaking use the laser pointer, and the laser dot's going like this.
And you're getting sick in the audience.
You're getting.
You don't need a laser pointer.
Well, one of the things I hate, those laser pointers.
I don't like them.
Are terrible, and if you can't, and
even worse is the pull-out pointer with the metal and you point. This isn't sing along with Mitch.
That's a killer,
Right.
But I'll emphasize your point, because you have a PowerPoint slide that has an economy, very few words.
It explains.
That just triggers.
Yeah.
But when I turn around, I look at that and say, "Are you reading your slides?" And now I talk to you I mentioned that, and now I turn to you when I talk to you.
And I'm speaking directly to the audience, and I'm looking at individuals in the audience. I'm making eye contact with, there might be 10, 12 people in the audience, talking to you, then I'm talking to him and looking right at him, making eye contact with him, but I'm not facing the darn thing, reading the Encyclopedia Britannica off the PowerPoint.
It's a technique. You gotta learn it, especially if you're there to raise money and this is your life.
You better look like you know what you're talking about,
right?
Not what you're reading.
Number 9
Yep.
issue is you're at the meeting. You're talking to investor coach, but you only care about the bucks.
Right.
You only care about the money.
Right.
I say, well, what's wrong with that?
Yep.
You don't want the author says you don't want to send the wrong signal.
Well, you don't want to send the wrong signal, and you don't want the wrong partner either. Quite frankly, you want to send the right signal so that you do. I mean, borrowing money and having investors especially come into your business, it is a relationship business. No, it's not a marriage relationship, but it can be harder to break up than a marriage, quite frankly, and they can be pretty tough. But you do want to have the right people that you're working with, because you get the wrong people, they'll drive you nuts.
Right.
So you are creating a relationship, and you care a lot more than just about the money, because how much of their input do you want? How much of their input do they want to give you? These things have to match up. Your thoughts about how you're going to go forward with them.
Well, have you, before the meeting, have you thought about asking for that person's support? You going in, have you just decided to walk in and say, write me a check and give me money, or do you realize that you're talking about setting up a relationship?
Exactly. Even with your banker, who they don't give advice, they just loan money, but you know what? The commercial lending is a relationship business, but investment is definitely a relationship business.
Well, at the beginning of this presentation, the author, he did drag in other types of like customers, vendors.
Right.
Yeah, sure, the banker, the investor.
Right.
This is about pitching any of those.
Absolutely.
And so you give the wrong signal, you're right off on the wrong foot.
Absolutely.
That VC or the customer or the vendor, they want to be loved.
Sure they do.
Also.
They're human. They want to know that you love them.
So you're greedy and you're hungry for the money, finesse it.
Of course, I'm hungry for the money. Yeah, I mean, you are. You're looking for the money because you know this is what you need to move your company forward. And if it's an angel investor, those are usually baby steps. Those are, like I say, the nascent stage of the business. You got angel investors looking at your company, putting up small amounts of money. And I believe the failure rate on angel investors is about 50%. I mean, it's very, very high because it's so early. And like we talked about in the other show, VCs, that's big money. They come in much later, but they have an even deeper relationship. As a matter of fact, they may, as I said in the other show, put 5 people on your board of directors that report directly to them, and you've only got 9 people on the board, and you're one of them. All right, you might even be the chairman of the board. But they get 5 people out of that.
And 5 outvotes 4.
Every day, all right?
I'm thinking 5.
It's a bigger number, I think. Yeah, right, absolutely.
Okay.
But all of them want to be treated well, to be loved, to be, I mean, the bottom line is we're all living a life here, and we want to enjoy it. You don't need a toxic relationship with somebody you've invested in, nor do you need a toxic relationship with somebody who's invested in your company. It can be very detrimental. I've seen it. I've seen where, the investor and the entrepreneur, the founder, really struggle with each other and get into legal battle. There's only one group of people that think it's a good idea to start a company with a lot of litigation. You know who that group is?
No.
They're called lawyers.
Lawyers.
Okay. Those are the only people who really think it's a good idea to start your relationship off in a business relationship with litigation.
VC, the venture capital person, they want to be on the board.
Sure.
They want a whole, stock in your company.
Oh,
be
sure.
able to sell that at a profit down the road.
Hopefully, go public
But,
or get sold.
Advising you along the way.
Yeah.
And so you talk to that VC about, how much and what kind of support.
Yeah.
Thing is, Coach, that it might be wise, you could do some analysis ahead of time on the type of venture capitalist that you're approaching. If it's someone who doesn't know your market, if you're in manufacturing and that venture capital specializes in services, retail or service.
Or technology or,
Maybe you want to walk past that person and go to someone who is a better fit.
You're more than likely wasting your time. Maybe you just want to practice. That's okay, because the more you practice, the better you get at everything, right? The more I practice golf, well, that's not a good example, right? But the more you practice, so, but you got to be careful who you forgive us, go to bed with.
Well, thank you, guys. This is the Fox Robbins Business Show. We're talking about the no-nos when you're approaching investors. And Coach, this should be very helpful to.
I would hope so.
People who have
I've
don't
seen
have much experience.
A lot of mistakes made in this area.
And all the Fox Robbins episodes are uploaded to YouTube.
Yep.
They're on YouTube. You go to YouTube, and there's a search box. You type in a single word, Fox Robbins, FOXROBBINS. That's it. Type that in, click, and voila! There's a whole library of episodes, all different topics.
You can get yourself an MBA by watching them all.
That's right. That's right, and you don't have to be on the rowing team,
right?
To do it. Thank you again, and look, we will see you guys next time.